right, so let's jump in because we're on the clock, and I'm going to do Q&A in the end. If you have questions, sort of mark your questions down, and at some point you can either throw them in, or I can actually bring you up on screen. Okay, so what I want you guys to start with is to break things down to the simplest compound. I don't know if we have any KRS One fans in here, but if you do, he does have a record where he says he breaks you down to the smallest molecule. But I would like you to go to the level of a unicellular type of a thought. A lot of times we think in, everything needs to be big, big numbers. We have a big venue, and big cameras, and big cars, and a big plate of food, and a big drink, and the biggie fries, and everything's just big. In our world, we want to, break it down to that one. What's the cost for one? All right, and this sort of ideology, if you work it through how you think, uh, it helps you to really get a visual. It helps you to formalize mentally what it is you have to deal with, and sort of cut out all the extra cheese and the extra facades and the lights and everything that's flashing, and you know all the superficial masquerade stuff on top of that. So you want to sort of break it down to what's that one thing, that one song, that one note, that one word. What's the melody in that word? That one sale, right? Because you're also salesmen, right? Salesmen and saleswomen are in here, and you're looking to sell what it is you have musically. All right, so it's also an aspect of sales. So you want to be able to think in a unicellular type of a way. And if you have any questions on that, we can deal with that in the Q&A. So mark it down as we go. You see, people are calling me. Well, let me just say I can't talk right now. Yeah, sorry guys. It works that way. Um, so one of the things that I also want you guys to take a look at is what we call a persona. And if you're familiar with the whole persona ideology, because you guys are in uh, different levels, right? You guys are in different stages of your marketing and your music path or your music journey. By the show of just say like two or something, put two in the chat if you're familiar with what a persona is. Okay, we got a two. All right. Oh, Lori knows. Okay, great. All right. So I don't even need to explain that, right? Like, that's beautiful. That's right. Okay. So everyone knows what the persona is. So how deep do we take it? And again, you want to take it serious enough. All right. You want to be able to um, have it as part of how you put your marketing mix together, how you put your equation together that you're going to uh, roll out, like a campaign and so on. All right. So in marketing, a persona, also known as a buyer or customer, is semi-fictional, right? So it's not really a real person. Oh, you see, Ness put it in. All right. But I'm saying it just for the sake of those who don't know, because I think we do have folks in here that they're like persona. Okay. In what way, right? Because they've heard the word before, but how do we use it in marketing? But Ness is correct. Persona is sort of like an identity, and it's a way that you zoom into who your target market is, how you zoom into who your audience is. If you have a particular brand whether it's a product, a service, and this is just on a general level. Uh, who are the people that's going to be interested in what it is I have to offer? So now you go into the science of the persona. And when you get into the science of the persona, you're taking a lot of different things into consideration. You're looking at the demographics, the psychographics, the goals and motivations, the challenges and pain points, buying behavior, communication preferences. These are all things that you pretty much zoom into when you look at the persona. Um, I would get really deep into this. Those of you who would be interested in doing the masterclass, I mean, there's a wealth, like this is, I mean, we're jumping over this right here, but there's a wealth of components just in this one slide right here that we will get into, those of you who continue on to the masterclass. That's in January, by the way. We'll talk some more about that later on. And obviously, why, again, it's to help you understand your target market. And a lot of folks don't really zoom into the whole target market thing. I was like that. I'll do a record, I'll get the CDs. Tonight I'm in the street selling it to whosoever will, right? Now I did sell. It's just that there was no system. You either had a good night or you had a bad night, right? What we're doing here is to just ensure that you can continue to have good nights and better nights, because now you put some thought behind what it is, that you're putting together. All right. So yes, so we're gonna look at the whole persona thing. We want to improve your targeting as well, and you want to have insights. You want to get some feedback. Sometimes you can reach out to your audience and say, hey, how you guys like this album cover, and what do you think about this song? And and the audience loves some audiences, they love to be involved, right? Not all of them, but some of them, they love to be involved and really give you feedback as to, hey, you know what, if you do this or if you do that, or maybe the video could look a certain way. And if the fans are involved, guess what, they would also champion your record because they were a part of this thing that you created. All right, so that's one way you can look at it. And then you would have a higher conversion rate. And I mean, let's be honest, at the end of the day, again, we're doing sales. It's just that simple. At the end of the day, we're doing sales. All right. Now, the other thing is the law of 29. Now, some people know about it, some people don't. However, if you're really selling your product or your service, some people would just put one post up, or they'll just have one ad, like boom, hey, my book is out, or my record is out. And they think that's it. They put, oh, I posted on IG, I posted on Facebook, or I posted on LinkedIn, or I sent out an email blast. Well, the law of 29 is think about it. The very first time you paid attention to a commercial or an ad, there's a really good chance that you saw it 28 times before. And you're now paying attention to it the 29th time, right? So that's the science with the law of 29, especially in the world of marketing. So those of you who know me or who follow me would see that, I'll take a break from promoting the book, and then you see me post about the book, and I'll take a break, because at the same time, you don't want to overwhelm your followers, or you don't want to overwhelm your audience. So you want to give it a break, and you sort of time and pace how you promote your product, whether it's a song, whether it's an album, whether it's a book, whether it's I don't know, sneakers, right? You don't want to just say, yeah, the sneakers is out, album is out, It's, you don't want to overwhelm people. So you gotta be aggressive enough, but you at the same time you got to be tactful as to how you're going to pace it out so that people can consume it at a decent rate, and they can pay attention to you and be like, you know what, I'm gonna get this thing from you. I've seen you promoting it here, and I want a copy. And then so they, they buy a CD from you. I'm saying CD for a reason. They buy a CD from you, and then they paid you $20 and said, yeah, keep the change, right? How many, you have people who would say keep the change. Some people you would have to give them back the change, right? Yeah, here's your change. Thank you. Some people, they want you to give them back the change, and then they give you a tip after that. So, learn how to play the game. Okay. And yeah, I had to put a slide just for sales. You got to think about sales. All right. If you understand branding, or you understand your brand, your brand is people's perception of you. That's your brand. And it's a perception of the people that's looking for a particular service, and you see it at work. If you pay attention to when you go to the grocery, you're going to get some groceries and so on, and you pay attention to that, how you pick things up. You get the things you need, and then there's a chance you might pick something up that you didn't really need, but you just picked it up anyway. And evaluate yourself like that. Why did I pick this up? I didn't really need it, but I picked it up. You know, look at why. What's the why behind this? What's the why behind that? You stopped somewhere and got some fast food just because. Were you really hungry? Maybe you were, but you just stopped. Like, yeah, let's get something to eat, right? Why? A lot of times, the people whose product or service you subscribe to, they did this same study. They actually studied their market. They studied the target market. They understood or had a good understanding of how that market works and how it relates, and how they would put the commercials together, how they put the ads together. So it's a whole scientific thing. If they're doing it, why shouldn't you? Right? If they want to get the best to maximize what it is they're doing, why can't you maximize what it is you have to do and understand your target market? Because the people that you have an audience that's actually looking for what you have, believe it or not. A lot of times when you're not getting any great feedback, a lot of times you're in the, you're not in the right area, or you haven't found your audiences yet, or maybe your audience isn't born as yet. So that's another thing. So you have to do that evaluation. Check and see, check what makes you pull money out of your pocket to spend on something. I do that a lot. It's kind of hard doing both, but sometimes if you take a little stop and take a look at, why did I buy this? Because again, the person whose product you're buying, they studied you. They have a team. I mean, they're paying people thousands of dollars to understand how you operate. So it's the same idea. It's to, take time to understand your audience and how to relate to that audience. All right. So I had to put this in here because where the music is today, you might have heard this phrase before. There was a time when you paid for water, right? Oh, you're paying for water right now, right? Or there was a time you didn't pay for water. It didn't mean that the water was free. It's just that you didn't really pay for the water, and you paid for music. Now it's different, right? Um, Now you're not really paying for the music, but you're paying for water, right? And in many aspects, music is non-paid, and I think that's why YouTube does very well, because when people are searching music, it's the number one platform to go to check out new music, like 9 times out of 10, right? So even if you have a subscription service, maybe like a Spotify or Apple or Amazon, and some of these platforms, they have a free version where you get ads, right? I think Spotify has the free version. Um, so that is also a dynamic there. So the question is now, as a creator, if this dynamic here has some truth to it, how do you overcome this? What do you do to make this work for you? Right? So it means that you would have to uh, you'd have to either bundle your music with something else, which we'll talk more about in the masterclass. There's a lot of different actions you can take to improve that. So yes, there was a time when you just got water. Now you're paying for water. So those of you who didn't get the book yet, I suggest you get the book. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Barnes and Noble. There's also spots. I have a spot online where you can get the PDF. Now, those of you that are into ebooks, there's an application called Speechify. And with Speechify, it would actually read the book for you. So, you can technically have an audiobook with a physical book. Now, I did have someone do an audiobook for me. They actually read the book, and I'm yet to get to it and do the editing for it. So until that time, work with Speechify. And you can use Speechify with other books, all right? And Speechify is not paying me to do this, so tell them to send me a little something when you have time. All right, so on the hybrid, what's the hybrid supposed to do here? So it says here a structural briefing on copyright, publishing, and the reorganized music industry is the blueprint. You want to have a structural briefing on it. You want to understand your copyright. You want to understand, publishing. You want to understand those different things. And again, the book is really based on the fact that technology entered the room and changed the whole game. That's basically what I wrote in the book. And I am looking at concepts. So Hybrid Executive is not only just a good book to have, but is going to be an evergreen type of a book, because I'm only talking about concepts in the book, not methods. Regardless of where the technology goes tomorrow, next week, next year, in the future, the concepts would remain true. And a concept that I like to use is, if you are planning to wear your socks with your shoes, you need to put your socks on before you put on the shoes, right? Regardless of what style comes in place, regardless of where the technology goes, regardless of what Kanye West invents, you're going to have to put your socks on first and then put on the shoe, right? Or the sandals or the high heels or whatever that is. You got to put that on first. That's more like a concept. It's something that never changes, although things around it would change. Shout out to Ness. We will. I'll link with you a little bit later on. And thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Shout out to Ness. All right. So, and the purpose of this session, which I sort of shared with you already, but I got to bring it in here again. So you're getting a structural briefing, and we want to really get more clarity. I do have a chapter in the book where I talk about getting rid of the fuzziness, and it's really about getting clarity. Really, not just speaking about something because you heard it, but speaking about it because you know. This is how this works. This is what's done here. This is how this role is up. This is how things work. You want to have that that clarity in terms of a visual of what the procedure is supposed to be, right? You want to focus on how the modern music industry functions, and you want to replace your confusion with understanding. And actually, that's what happened with me when I enrolled at Full Sail. The first time I spent so many years in the industry. When I did my degree, I realized how many things I was mixing up. I didn't have the right I knew the business, but in many aspects, I didn't know the business. There were certain words and phrases that went over my head because those were business words, right? So what we want to do is to, get a handle of that. And the packet I sent to you guys from hybrid executive at Gmail, I discussed this in great detail. It's a passage there, and that's the one that I spoke about where you can quiz yourself after. So it says that the industry did not disappear. It reorganized itself, right? There's still money that's available to be made there. And, again, it comes down to you getting into the crook and cranny as of to understanding, how it works. All right. So check that article out and do the test, and it's going to help uh, reinforce the information. Um, so what changed? Well, you know, technology happened. You before you had the artist just had to go to the studio and record the record and get it, mixed and mastered, and turn it into the record label. That's how it used to be, right? Now the artist has to do everything. You got to write the song, you got to get it recorded, you got to get it mixed and mastered. You got to package it. You got to do your album cover. You got to come up with a marketing concept for it. Okay, how are we going to sell this? How are you going to do the whole, the distribution? Which aggregator you're going to work with? Are we going to work with any aggregators? Yeah, all of these things, the artist has to deal with it now, opposed to what it used to be, where hey, we had to turn this record in, or we had to turn this, well, we just finished the record, we turn it in, and then that's it. It's a whole different thing. So it moved from centralization and it redistributed itself. All right. So that's pretty much where the industry went, how things changed. And the new reality is okay, with the internet and with all the other things that are available, how do you fine tune? How do you focus on a path, or how do you plot a path out that you can follow to maximize success on your end, or to maximize your efforts? How does that work for you, right? And yeah, everyone would have a different situation. This is why I tell folks when they look at a marketing thing and they're like, okay, this guy would do 3 posts a week on 3 different channels, and every month I paid him $400 or I paid him $500. But posting on social media is not marketing. That's just posting, right? Marketing is a whole combination of different things, right? So you want to understand that as well. I see Ness giving us some love in the chat here. All right, we're gonna, so you guys can check. Actually, I might have to share this stuff. I might have to be the one to press the button on this, right? All right, so I'm gonna press some buttons. Let me get through these slides here. All right, so this is what I want to do. You guys type a 3 if you're still up and you're excited and you're not sleeping yet. All right, so type a 3 in the chat, so I know that you guys are there and you're not falling asleep. And yeah, so while you all are doing that, let's jump to the okay, we got 3s in here. Oh, look at the 3s. Hallelujah. So I almost was feeling kind of lonely there for a second, but yeah, I'm happy you guys are here. So it looks like I'm talking some interesting information. So that's good. That's good. You guys just made me feel so excited. I'm really excited here. Oh, shout out to Natalie. Natalie's here. Hi, Natalie. Thanks for coming through. All right. So yeah, so the fuzziness is, partial understanding. Things aren't clear. You're just going by the whim, the whim of things. You're sort of throwing in As humans, we sometimes move by association. We move by body language and all of that. And a lot of times that happens in the industry. It's like sometimes you're afraid to ask, so who's producing the record? Who's writing what? Who's getting publishing? What the splits look like? Like sometimes that's like a hard question for people to ask in the situation, and they feel they may offend the people in the room. And I say offend, offend, offend. If you're going to be spending time in the studio, be about your business, okay? Be about your business in the studio. So, and not just in the studio, just in the situation. Once you're going to be on a record, and you're uncomfortable with something, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So just let folks know, hey, I have a concern about this. Could you clear this up for me? And they'll clear it up. I mean, if they're honorable, they'll clear it up. All right. And if you're not clear on things, if there's no clarity, then you'd have illusion. There's illusion, or well, and then when everything is finished, you'll say, well, I thought this was going to happen, or I thought that was going to happen. So to avoid all the I thought, get some clarity in the beginning. You know, and in fact, what I've learned to do is when I'm doing something, I give people clarity right there. I'm like, look, this is what I'm looking to do. I need help with this. This is what you're gonna, this is what I need your help with. And you lay it out, whatever questions they have. You think, hey, well, how the money is going to work. You say, well, this is how the money is going to work. I really let the person know what was happening. So you don't have any issues, 2, 3 months down the road. Let me put one that says, be a squeaky wheel. That's what's up. Um, and it says here the system pays only what it can identify. What are we talking about here? We're talking about making sure you have your copyright together. You fill out all your forms for the different platforms. And let me see if I can get to that really quick. I'm looking at the time. I don't want to have you all here too long. Um, every song contains two copyrights, or two main copyrights. All right. If you didn't know that before, yes, it does. Um, Copyright number one is a composition copyright, lyrics, melody, structure, song as an idea, yada yada. And the copyright number two is the sound recording. So that's sort of like the main holy grail of the song itself, where the copyright aspect is. And the sound recording is important because you may have someone that covers your song in the future. If someone does a cover, then that becomes a new sound recording. That's a whole new situation. And again, once you have your copywriting information correct, you sort of create a nice, what we call, you create a pension plan with your songs and your material, right? So that's something you want to look into. And it matters because you have different rights, different income, and different systems, right? Each copyright generates revenue, each is administered separately, and confusion interrupts payment. Yes, so if you don't handle your business, that will interrupt the payment. And some of you might have a lot of money out there too. You might want to check and make sure you're registered with. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this clearly, and if you can't, I can send this in the email as well, in the hybrid executive at Gmail. It sort of gives you a, excuse me, like a sort of roundabout thing where you generate funds for your copyright or your song, right? So you see it has a song in the middle, and you have the MLC. If you haven't signed up with the MLC, sign up with them. It's federally funded. I don't know if the the present administration messed with it yet. They've been messing with a lot of other things, but I think that is still intact. Hallelujah. Um, so they would actually do a major check to see where money would be. If you have money in the system that you haven't claimed yet, they will be the ones to like really get in there and check that out for you. They'll become a virus in the system to find everything for you in there. So you have your PROs over here, which is your ASCAPs, your BMI, your CSACs, and others. You have Sound Exchange down here. You have the publishing here. You have sync licensing. Um, so yeah, this is pretty much what you want to pay attention to. You want to make sure that it's straight, and you want to create long-term income. Once you do it right, once you take the time to put your things together, you want to make sure that it's on point. And well, we have another thing here. Yes, walk that. There you go, Ness. Ness is bubbling in the chat over here. Thank you, Ness. Shout out to Ness. All right, so publishing is triggered when a song is performed, streamed, broadcast, licensed, and reproduced, right? So, and then you have here why publishing is ignored is the lack of literacy, yes, over focus on recordings, administrative avoidance. Now, funny enough, I've met a lot of people that they just don't like to get into the paperwork at all. I released a record called Soul Music Vineyard, and I had a couple of artists on there, and let's say maybe 50% of the artists did their paperwork, and the other 50, I'm still running them like, hey, you didn't fill out the paperwork. Like they're just running from it. I don't know. I don't know why they're running from stuff. You know, don't be afraid to get your paperwork done, guys. Do it for you. Do it for your kids. Do it for the your grandkids or whoever's next to kin. Get into the paperwork. If you forget everything else today, make sure you do your paperwork correctly in the situation when you're working with you're collabing. Yeah, make sure you get that straight. Uh, so you have some streaming misconceptions too. Uh, and so it says that streaming is not one royalty, right? So that form I sent you guys again, I sent another form out. It shows you the different platforms, how much they pay out. I personally think that it needs to be a little bit more unified how they do it. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I see Lori is sharing here. Yeah, I had a few issues with paperwork because a lot of creatives want to jump right into creating, and it's frustrating. Yes, I totally agree. And you know what I think it is too? I think just for the sake of the folks who are running from the paperwork, I think they really want to get to the creative part of it. So they're like, look, could we just get the song done? Get the song done. We'll deal with the paper thing. We'll do the paper thing later on. Um, and that's just a feeling. Okay, so guys, jump over. You got to get rid of that feeling right there. Get rid of that feeling and really take care of your paperwork. Make sure your stuff is correct so you can keep it moving. Um, so with hybrid executive, and consider yourselves hybrid executives, by the way, or you all are hybrid executives. And hybrid meaning that next thing. You're like the upgrade, and you are your own executive, right? And while you're at it, get the gear, right? Hybrid executive too. You're your own, you're hybrid. You're a hybrid. You're like the next thing that's happening presently at this time. So yes, you want to have artists and structural literacy. You want to, creativity plus administration, awareness, and being responsible for what it is that you are doing. Understanding your ownership, document contributions, register rights, build systems, reduce speculation. You want to do all of that. Access does not necessarily mean independence. All right. Now, I've been hearing about the new Live Nation distributing service. Is it Live Nation or is it Rock Nation? Somebody just correct me. It might be Rock Nation, but I think it's connected to Jay Z. I understand that the fine the fine writing or the you know the writing on the fine line or whatever you want to call it, um, you would have to check that out to see if you want to get involved with that. I have to look at it. I need to look at it. But what I've been hearing is that it's the arrangement is a little bit different to the other. Yeah, so it's Rock Nation. Okay, thank you, Tamika. So yeah, so just check and be sure and make sure that that's something that you want to rock with, because it's a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different arrangement, and they can actually own your content if you don't play it right. So make sure you guys check that out. Tools do not guarantee control. Literacy enables leverage, and structure enables sustainability. Okay. Um, so, what did we accomplish today? We established what clarity is. We didn't really establish clarity, okay, but we kind of established what it is. Um, we defined structural realities, meaning we spoke about what the industry, what's happening in the industry presently. We looked at common gaps and introduced some sort of a framework. All right, so that's what we did today. What we didn't do today is that we didn't, it's an hour talk that we're doing. And for those of you who would be interested in doing the masterclass, save the date. January 17th is the day I'm looking at. If anything changes, I'll let you know. Um, Send an email to the hybridexecutive@gmail.com, and in the subject matter, put in interested in masterclass. Okay. Um, and then inside, you can just put your name and number and things like that. Don't put your bank number and stuff in there. No social, nothing like that. Just your phone number. Um, it would pretty much primarily be emails and maybe texts that you'll receive for updates. Those of you who are interested. Um, I don't think we're going to do a phone call unless it's absolutely necessary. And so that's, if you do provide your number, that's how that's going to work. We're not trying to, you know, call people like that and, hey, you coming to the master class or what? And you're probably on the job. You want to know why Sam is calling you. So no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all. Or we'll send you an alert, and you guys can respond accordingly. All right. So for the that's it pretty much for this. Um, so if there are any questions that you want me to address, you can throw it in at this time. And while that's happening, there's a few things that were said that that I can share in the meantime. So yeah, Ness was on fire. Ness should have been in here doing the lectures. He should have done the seminar today. He's been we'll actually in the master class we will do funnel. So we didn't do a funnel thing today, but there's an ideology around doing the funnel um, in business. Okay. Okay, so even this is a good some good resources that Ness had put in here. So I just wanted to share that. And all right, any questions with anyone? Anyone has anything to you want to ask, or you want to comment on something? Feel free. Feel free. We got like roughly 10 minutes to rock. Or maybe you want me to go over something that you wanted a little bit more on it. Um, Although most of what you might want more of um, would more than likely be addressed in the masterclass. Okay. And if you guys enjoyed this, um, oh, okay. So here we have a question. Where would the replay be? Now, that's a very good question, right? And the reason why it's a good question, this is the very first time I'm using, um, this is the very first time I'm using I use StreamYard regularly, but I use it to stream my podcasts. Um, this is the first time I'm using the seminar portion of it. So what I will say is it's already set to be on demand. There may be some sort of a maybe something to click on where it's on demand and you guys can take a look at it. If not, stay tuned. I have your emails and stuff. I can shoot you a link so you guys can check out the replay on this. Although I may want to edit it a little bit because I had to run, I had to go get coffee in the beginning, and there was a little bit of dead space on the top. So I might want to slice that off. Oh, Carolyn Harding. Carolyn, we got to hook up. Okay. Oh, well, we have someone who's ready for the master class. Hallelujah. Okay. Anyone else may have had a question? We got a little bit of time. And it could be anything. You want to say hi, you want to add a point in, because look, I'm running the thing here, but I don't claim to know everything. So if you have a point that you want to share, that's beneficial that we all can learn from. I'm all open to it. Um, okay. Shade A. By the way, guys, that's my daughter. That's my eldest. Hi, Shade. She says maybe embed it on the landing page. Oh, you know what? That's right. That's right. And send it out. You see why I need a team, guys. This is why I need a team. This is why I need a team. All right. By the way, if you notice, there's a logo in the corner here. So this is the Musilog logo. You guys could go to musilog.com and musilogwoman.com and check out some of the articles that we have there. We also have a podcast. It's called Musilog Magazine Podcast. It's available on Spotify and Apple, and um, there's something called, is it Listening Notes? I've been seeing it distributed like to a lot of different places. Um, so you guys can check out the different interviews we have. And we have a radio station. We've been developing a radio station for the last roughly 2 years, I will say. And probably like in the last 2 months, maybe the listenership has been improving. Um, so we're happy and excited about that because it was rough get 10 people to listen to your station. You look in the back office, it'd be like zero listeners. Oh, zero listeners, okay. Um, so we kind of have like a nice little number of people right now. I think on average, I'll say the low would be maybe 230. The high would be over 300 per day, listeners per day. So we're excited about that. And we play the music of the indie artists, right? So if we did a write up for you or we interviewed you, your music is definitely in rotation. All right. So it's a cool situation where you'd probably want to submit your music in and get your music in and tell your fans to tune in, and it's top notch here. So Carolyn Harding is sharing. She says, I've been in the industry for more than 40 years and I realize one can never stop learning because the industry continues to change every few years. Thank you for this information opportunity. You are welcome. You are welcome. And by the way, guys, so Carolyn, you still have music out there, right? I mean, I follow you, so I get, but is it sort of open out like just on the different platforms? still? And did you do anything new recently? Please share. And John Evans, how do you gauge if a particular system you've applied is worth continuing? Very good question. You have to time. It's a little bit between the timing. It's a little bit between um, it's a little bit between knowing what um, what key performance indicators you're looking for, and key performance indicators is normally abbreviated KPI. You would have you would have to put together um, certain things to indicate that there's some sort of activity happening. Okay, so once you put that in, if you realize that there's totally no sort of activity or no kind of response, and obviously you want to give it a certain amount of time. Now you don't want to give it 10, 15 years, but you want to give it maybe 2, 3 months, depending. Now I don't know generally what you mean here, so we're being general, but you want to give it a little bit of time. I think 90 days is like a good window to test something, to see, hey, did we get any activity? Did anyone like it? Did anyone like? There's no responses, and then you can go from there. Okay, so Carolyn says yes, she has music. So guys, check her out as well. And okay, so Laurie is asking about the hard copy of the book. Yes, Laurie, there is a hard copy of the book. I have to print more, so I'm the culprit here. Um, but I have to order some in the near future. Let's say maybe the first week in January. I'll probably get them in about maybe 10, 15 days. And then I will let you know that I have hard copies. Okay. But yes, there are hard copies that you can get. Um, what's the level of expertise as a prerequisite for the masterclass? Uh, well, if this seminar worked for you, let's say you learned something from this, I will say you're going to be good to go, because the way how the masterclass is set up, um, we're going to be doing a lot of different activities, from maybe like from song selection to developing your persona, to developing how you would put a marketing mix together, like a release. So there's so many different facets that if this made sense to you, taking it up to the next level will definitely. This would be like a prerequisite, and even the information I sent out, if you read the passage and took the quiz, and if you didn't do good in the quiz, then you could read the passage again, take the quiz. I don't think there's any limit on the quiz, um, but once you can get that information and internalize that information, um, you should be good to go. All right. So Carolyn's saying, now I'm independent. However, producers are still releasing new sound recordings of my prior vocals. I hope they're paying you, Carolyn. I hope they're giving you a call and sending you a check. Okay, so John, that's an analysis process. True. That's a course on its own, but we can guide you through. Make sure you grab the book. It adds. Okay, all right. Okay, so Tamika responded to John. Carolyn Harding, Dave Lee has a release of my voice out now. Okay, so okay, we're going to check that out. And my website has exclusive releases. Okay, so guys, this lady is in the echelon of the who's who. In fact, I was honored to work on one of her records with a guy by the name of Winston Jones. She did a record called Running Away, and I played keyboards on that. So that was my introduction. Now, we never met. It's just that I worked in the studio, and then next thing they gave me a vinyl and say, hey, this is the record. And I think it charted in the UK, right? Carolyn, please correct me. All right, Ruel, happy to help. Laurie, okay, sounds okay. And by the way, Laurie is also a vocalist. Laurie, could you want to put your? Oh, it's 2 o'clock. Look at that. Laurie, you want to put your? I think you go by a different stage name, right? You want to put your stage name so folks can check you out, as well, please. Um, and that's another thing we're going to do. We're going to be doing a playlist activity for the masterclass. Yes, okay, so it did well in the UK and Japan. So if you look for the record "Running Away" by Carolyn Harding, the original version, because I know there was like a ton of remixes that Strictly Rhythm did, but the original mix, I am playing the keyboards on that version, on the original mix. So guys, I thank you so much for coming through. This was great. This was really good. You guys put a little power pack in my back, especially where the book is concerned. Oh, it's Running from Reality. Oh my God. That's the name of the song, guys. Running from Reality. You know what? I'm thinking of the hook. You keep running and running away. Thank you so much. Running from Reality. Yes, that's the record. Running from Reality. So thanks again so much. And if there's a question you had that we didn't do in here, shoot me an email in shoot me an email in the hybridexecutive@gmail.com. All right, and there's another note here. Carolyn, for each. Oh, this is Steve. Steve Standard. Carolyn, for each derivative release, make sure you're registered as the vocalist with. Okay, that's great, Steve. Very, very good point here, Steve. Yes, with Sound Exchange. Correct. This is a really, really good point here. So I'm glad that Steve. Thank you, Steve, for pointing that out. You're welcome, John. And Carolyn has some thumbs up here. And you're welcome again, John. All right, guys. Bon voyage. Is that a real saying? I think I messed it up.
Learn about the ever-changing climate of the music industry and learn how to position yourself. With the new book, Hybrid Executive, great for indiepreneurs, indie artists, managers, engineers, booking agents, and more. Hybrid Executive is the new terminology for today's indie artists, written by music producer Samuel E. Archer. Now available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, BookBaby, and other leading ebook distributors. Visit thehybridexecutive.com for more information.